we go. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to my world with Nat, Relocation Concierge. I am back for another episode, and Crystal Baran's here, Integrative Life Coach. I asked her to join this episode because we had a great chat last week, Crystal, about mindset, about change, about adaptability, and this really plays into somebody who's deciding to relocate. So can you tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and how you help people?
Of course. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for that amazing introduction. And thank you for last week's conversation, because I was mind blown when I found out more about what you do and how you help your clients. It literally was, it lit me up that you do this. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
So I'm an integrative life coach. What does that mean? It's funny because when we talk about, integrative, we think about like, medicine, right? But I take a look at this as an integrative approach to your life, because your life is so multifaceted. It's not one thing, the other thing, it's everything all together. It's really a holistic approach. And so I really take that kind of approach with my clients. It's an intuitive practice. I love the word intuitive. And it was something that I actually had forgotten for many, many years of my life. I lost my intuition. And I came into this world of coaching, and I started, helping people, from a nutrition standpoint. But then I really realized that where my passion lied was in the world of stress and burnout, having had, come from that world. I came from a corporate world. And so I help people overcome stress and burnout by shifting mindset, adapting, and just change your words, change your mind, the whole thing. And that's what I do. I help people on a regular basis every day with shifting their mindset of themselves, of the world around them, and helping people to understand that the only thing that can change is themselves. We can only change ourselves. We can't change other people. And once we learn that, that's a pivotal moment in people's lives.
And before we start recording, I shared with you that I was having a mindset issue this morning myself. And, people believe, or I've read or people have questioned me and said, how can you have a bad day when you're in paradise? And, today it started at like 8:20 this morning, and it was like, it just felt like one roadblock after another, and they still happen down here. It's not because you're in a paradise type world that there aren't challenges. And that is something that I really want people to understand, that you are deciding to make a huge leap. Now, this was way easier. This moving was a lot simpler than me even starting this business. I had to wrap my head around, I'm going to start another piece of my business. And I mean, I integrated it into my speaking business, which is Master Your Authentic Voice. And I call this go where you want, as opposed to say what you want, but you have to say what you want to do what you want, to go where you want. And today was just one of those days where I had to I feel like it's like a button I have to turn to say, okay, we're going to turn that off and move on to the next thing. And adaptability, is something that, do you see a lot of in the practice? And how can people who are deciding to do this embrace that?
So the first thing I just want to say, thank you so much for sharing what you've been going through today, because a lot of people think that, we look at the grass is always greener on the other side, right? We look at somebody like myself, we look at a coach like myself who's teaching people how to live their best lives and how to lead with the most authentic way. My life is not better than your life. No. When I'm cut, I bleed. The same like you. When I'm hurt, I cry. The same like you. Whether you're at this level of your life, or you're at this level of your life, or you're at this, we have to be able to hold the duality of both sides, because as much greatness comes, the pain can be equally as great. Yeah. Right?
Absolutely.
You said something last week. We were talking about this in that conversation, and we were talking about the house that we live in, right? And so, going back to, relocating from, let's say, Montreal to the Dominican Republic, right? The house we live in is always just going to be the house we live in. It's what we put inside of it that makes the difference, right? So one house over here, if we keep all of the same furniture, and we keep all of the same things and we put it over here in the Dominican Republic, nothing is changing. So
No.
the idea around it is that we have to change our thoughts, change our mind, right? And so, we have to, especially when going into this type of relocation, because that's a huge change. So again, there are things that I talk a lot with my clients about, are life events: getting married, buying houses, moving, graduating. Like, people don't even realize how much of a big life event that is. But moving is a huge life event. And there's actually a lot of preparation that comes when it comes to moving. Like,
Yeah.
you got to shift the mindset. Where, like, just because, again, like you said, moving to paradise doesn't change the fact that you're still going to have challenges that you're going to face. You still might have difficulties when it comes to getting your kids in school. It's how you manage this emotional reaction. And what you talked about before was, I needed to flip the switch. And it's not always easy to flip the switch, and it doesn't always happen as symbiotically as we want it to happen. Sometimes it has to actually happen consciously. And the reason why I say it has to happen consciously is because 95% of what we do is subconscious. Think about that. 95%, we are doing things that we don't have control over.
Yeah.
So we have to take that 5% of us and sometimes control the switch. Change the narrative right there, because you might want to go back to past beliefs, past thought patterns. So like, I digress, but like, there's a lot there that we're unpacking when it comes to mindset and shifting. And
because some of what we see down here is a lot of people saying, yes, I'm going to move, I'm going to relocate. But they think that, oh, I'm just going to bring Canada with me, or I'm going to bring North America with me, let's say, and I'm just going to do what I was doing back home. But you're in a new country. You can't possibly. And I think it's in the same respect that if somebody was moving to Canada, you couldn't expect them to bring their own country, right? There's pieces of the country you can bring with you.
Of course.
But in terms of living here, there are a lot of things that we need to adapt to, and change for some people does not come easy. So if you're choosing to do this, you also have to choose to take on some of the local flavors, as I like to say, the local customs, the local experiences.
It's not going to be like your all-inclusive vacation that you go to the Dominican Republic.
No, not at all.
All of your Canadian food. It's not like that.
Not at all.
That's a very different world. Like, I see exactly what you're talking about, right? You're going to be going different flavors, different foods, different cultures, different value systems that you have to learn and have to understand, different language.
Yeah, absolutely.
The language thing is huge because, as English is a language that, is internationally known. But that doesn't mean that everybody speaks that language. And when you're going to a country that is completely Spanish, I would say, like, what's the percentage down there? Maybe 90%, 100% Spanish. Maybe English is the second language that some people are privileged to have had the opportunity to learn, not all of them. That adaptation is huge. And so, coming into it, there are things that you really need to think about before making that jump, and allowing yourself to just settle into the fact that it's going to be different than what you're expecting.
So can you offer maybe one or two tools that if somebody's watching this and thinking, okay, how am I going to embrace this? Or how am I going to shift, not just physically, but, mindset wise, what can people do? I mean, I have my own process. I guess part of me has always been a big traveler. So I sort of go with the flow, but not all people, I had a client say to me a few weeks ago, she's like, Natalie, I don't want to know about the unknowns. I just want to know about the knowns.
Oh gosh, I love that conversation because I was that girl. So
what are some of the things people can maybe, that one little thing, like, is it a grounding thing, something that they can just embrace along the way of this journey and of change?
That I will definitely say is having a sense of spirituality. And I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about inner spirituality, really, whether it's your God, whether it's the universe that you believe in, whether it's Buddha that you believe in, having the knowledge that, there is something there for you. We don't know
Yeah.
what it is, and we don't know how it's going to bring, but having that connection to your spirituality is something that I have found pivotal and that my clients have found pivotal. And a lot of the times people lose that sense of spirituality as they get older because they associate it with like the physical things like going to church and
Yeah.
like, you know, being that devout. I mean, I'm saying Catholic, you know, because I'm Catholic, right? But, you know, so I personally had locked up my spirituality into religion, and it
Yeah.
was bigger than that. And so I would say the first thing is getting connected to your spirituality and start to really take a look at your life and the past and the things that have happened for you, not to you.
Yeah. I said that this morning. I wrote that to a friend. I know this is happening for me,
Yeah.
but I'm still saying why.
Yeah, of course, because and here's the thing, you're not always going to know what the answer is. Sometimes
Yeah.
you will be faced with the answer. Sometimes
Yeah.
you have that pleasure of knowing instantaneously what it is that you're supposed to be learning in the moment. So I will say that having a sense of spirituality is super important, to be able to connect with yourself and to know that the decisions that you make are guided by an inner intuition. So getting connected to your intuition and to your spirituality, that's definitely the first thing. Second thing that I would say, you know, when thinking about doing this, research is good. Research is definitely good, and having a support system is good. You're not going to
And
know
a
all the
plan, a plan.
planning.
Yeah.
Yes, having I would say plan, yes, and a loosely based plan, because like you said, we never know what's going to happen. We can have wrenches thrown in the works and things completely change, and they turn out way more beautiful than when they originally were planned. So again, going back to that intuition and that sense of spirituality and understanding that everything is happening for a reason. So having that beautiful loosely based plan, you know, I go into, for example, you know, we purchased a car. We were purchasing a car. It's a great example because we all purchased a car.
Yeah.
We had an idea, we had a budget, we knew exactly what we wanted to spend. And my husband at one point said to me, he's like, I don't want to spend that money. We don't have that money. And I was like, well, if we, you know, like we could choose to say that we don't have that money and that we can't afford that, you know, and go for something else. And so we decided to go for something else. We had that car for 2 days. We spent $3,000. The car went down the garbage. We bought another car, $2,000. I mean, we're not talking about, I mean, we're talking, for me, that's big money. I don't just throw $3,000 and $5,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
For me, I was investing in something, and literally less than a week later, that car gone. So I spent $5,000 to originally go back to the first car that we wanted to buy. We had to shift our mindset. We had to shift our mindset. And for me, I had to learn from that. And so we got the car. The destination was getting the car. That was what we did. But what we went through to get there, I was able to sit back and I was able to understand that there was a path that I needed to take. There was knowledge that I needed to absorb. There were lessons that needed to be learned. And I'll be honest, having somebody that would have known more about cars would have been able to help us. And so again, kind of like the coach, you know, having that accountability, having that partner. So, you know, if you're thinking about doing this, find people that have done it before, AKA Natalie. Find people that have done it before, that are walking, that have walked the path, that have the insights for you, because nothing in this world is done without somebody having ever gone through it before.
Yeah.
We're not new. We're not original.
And for me, the analogy is accommodations. You know, there's so many people I've met down here who, and by nobody's fault, no one's to blame, but it's like, oh, we found a place and it's great and it's great. And then they're told that you have to move. Okay, the rules down here are not like in Canada or in Quebec, I should say. So you can be asked to move, you lose your deposit. Maybe you move somewhere where you have no idea where it was because nobody went to check it out first. And now you have to move again. Electricity goes out. Like, the stories are endless, and they can be avoided. Had we had somebody check our own place out, the first place we lived in, I probably wouldn't have lived there, because the paint was chipping, water was leaking, the view was incredible. That's pretty much all, like, you know,
Yeah.
and
You
had a
didn't
lot
check
of
off the
space.
boxes of the things that were important for you.
Yeah. So, you know, that's why for me now the formula is, you know, what do you want? What do you need? And what's your budget? And then we adjust accordingly. And location, 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 obviously. But if you don't know those things, and this is not just about DR, this is about wherever you decide to relocate or you decide to go visit or
Well,
long
it's even
term
renting a
stay.
place, renting a place or buying a new home. Like,
Yeah.
what are the non-negotiables? What's the list of the absolutely must-haves? What's the
Yeah.
list of the I don't want to have? And what's the things that are capable of being like, okay, can we negotiate on this? Like, is this a, you know, is this
Exactly.
compromise on this? And it's the same exact thing that we should be doing, right? In our lives, in our relationships. Even, you know, people come to me for relationship advice, right? Do you even know what you're looking for? What are you looking for in a partner? When you
Yeah.
come to me and you're trying to find a new job, what are you looking for in a job?
Yeah.
Once we get clear on what it is that we're looking for, we can actually move into the actual action. And
Yeah.
so, you know, having somebody like you or having somebody like me on the other end to help people move through these questions in life, it really just makes sense. Honestly, I never understood the value of it until I ended up getting my own first coach many, many years ago. And it literally pivoted my life.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you 100%. And, you know, the goal of me creating this service was really for people to avoid the pitfalls that we went through and give them the guidance that when they land here, it's a softer landing than, you know, smacking your butt right, you know, right down and being hurt or feeling like, you know, you got screwed because you didn't know.
Yeah.
So if you know a little bit, then, you know, we can do a little bit better. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Absolutely.
one of the, you know, you were talking about, you know, the spirituality of it. For me, you know, grounding, you know, putting my feet in the sand, in the ocean. Obviously, I'm here, but any type of change when you can ground and put your bare feet into the soil or into grass,
Yeah.
I know has always been very not rewarding, but just comforting. It's a
Yeah.
comfort.
Absolutely.
There's a comfort feeling in that. And that's one of the things I tell people, like, if you're having a bad day, you know, I'll probably will go back to the beach today. I've already done an hour walk and I'll probably go back today just to put my feet in the
So
sand
good.
and in the water, just to kind of like recenter myself because it's been a rough morning and things that are out of my control. And it happens here too. It's not because we're in paradise that things don't go away or they don't get rocky. And I want people to understand that they need to uh embrace those moments as well.
Embrace change, embrace the opportunities that this type of move
Yeah.
will provide you. And I'll kind of go back to what you were just saying, you know, finding the things that are like going to keep you grounded. Now, you know, for you, it's being in the sand, being near the ocean. For me, it's, you know, walking down by the water and looking at animals, you know, like seeing the ducks and stuff like that. For somebody else, it might be something very different. And so what I especially want is that people to understand is that it's not a one size fits all kind of
Yeah.
approach. You need to find what's good for you. So a couple of the things, nourishment. Okay. When I talk about nourishment, I'm not just talking about food. I'm talking about the things that you put in your body and in your mind. Okay. It's how you nourish yourself. And so find things that are going to nourish you. Chances are it's not going to be the 12 hours of Netflix that you want to watch because it will make you feel good, but it's not really bringing you to that next level. That's good to have when you're feeling already like good, like, but when you're feeling like you're facing stressful situations, nourishment is super important. The other thing, it's a lot easier to go for that fast food, that, you know, quick and easy store-bought something to be able to like ease the stress of the day or ease the stress of whatever's happening for that particular moment, but it's actually counterintuitive to your mind. So putting things like sugars and additives into your body, it actually creates a mental disbalance in your hormones. It's an endocrine disruptor. It blocks your patterns. So again, the things that you put in your mind and the things that you put in your gut are super important. So when going through a thing like this, set yourself up for success.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to be moving into like this beautiful new world, whether it takes you 6 months. I even tell this to people who are trying to have kids.
Mm.
Set yourself up for success today. Just because, like you want to have a baby in a year from now, today is where you have to start fulfilling yourself and to start filling yourself up mentally and physically. Second, movement. Movement for you might be very different than movement for me. I used to go to the gym, pump the iron like everybody, do the weightlifting, and I hated it. At the end of the
Mm.
day, I got zero results from that. My body didn't change. I never felt good. I didn't feel mentally or physically good doing it,
Yeah,
even though I was doing the 30 to 45 minutes a day, let's say, that is ideal for, a person of my age. You need to find things that are going to light you up. So
yeah.
if it's your yoga, or if it's like just a walk in nature, well, then by all means do that. And this is also going to help to set you up for success throughout your change, throughout the change that you're
Absolutely.
going to.
Absolutely. And it can be one thing, right? I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
it takes 21 days to adapt a new habit.
I will say that is such a big lie. But
Shut up.
so for a very simple habit, it takes
Tell me.
21 days.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Okay.
So if we're like but the myth has been dispelled. It can take up to a year to
Yeah.
change or break a habit or instill a new one. So it's one of those fun things that people put on the top of their list. They're like, oh, I can change this because it's only going to take me 21 days. And when they're faced with the 21 days and they revert back, it could be a really huge hold on the psyche when they realize they're like, shit, like, did it really take me
So
a
then
long
it's not really the change, but maybe the adoption, because I know for me, like a non-negotiable every morning, and this is because I have to take a medication every
time? Okay.
morning.
Yeah.
I have a tall glass of water. That
Beautiful.
is like every morning, even like I am not allowed to have coffee until I have that water.
Okay. But
And
that's a beautiful one to change. That's a
yes,
great
absolutely.
habit.
But even here, I think that people just need to adopt something small, whether it be
Yeah.
a 15-minute walk somewhere,
Yes.
enjoying to feel grounded, feel connected to this
Yeah.
change, doing something like that. Okay. So what is your last, like, I mean, you've given us so many great morsels here, little bits of yummy, that people can consider, on this journey? Like, what is your biggest, or last piece of advice?
I would say give yourself grace.
Oh my God, that's such a good one. Yes, I forgot about that one.
Giving yourself grace, because we have a lot of things. We're doing a lot of things, right? We're mothers, we're fathers, we're sisters, we're brothers, we're aunts, we're people that have responsibilities, we have jobs. There's so much going on in our lives that we forget that we're human too. So the self-love and the self-care that comes from giving yourself grace and giving yourself that allowance to know that, like,
Yeah,
oh,
I
today
forgot
was
about that. Yeah.
I know we often forget about that. I had the same moment last week. I had my little mini breakdown just like everybody else does. And that's where I gave myself grace. I sat
Yeah.
back and I said to myself, I'm human. I have emotions, I have feelings. I'm allowed to feel differently than what people think of me. Right? Because I mean,
Yeah.
trust me, I can promise you, I've had people, but that's what you teach people. Yeah, I teach people, but I'm constantly teaching myself too.
Yeah,
And if we don't
absolutely.
allow ourselves to grace, we hold ourselves to expectations that we can't ever expect anybody else to live up to. So
100%.
have grace.
So this is a great segue. What do you have coming up in the next week or so?
Yeah. On June 28th, actually, I am holding a self-love workshop where we're going to be dispelling the myths around, when the words self-care, self-love, and selfishness became synonymous. Because
Mm,
oftentimes, I hear so many people, yeah, but I don't want to think about myself. I don't have time for myself because I have to take care of other people. As the old adage goes, if you do not take care of yourself, you cannot take care of other people around you. And as we grow, somehow this happens, this crazy thing, like we forget who we are deep down inside. But my friend Nikki, I don't know if you know her, but my friend Nikki, she's a flight attendant, and I always think about her when I think about this. But if the plane is in an emergency situation, you are supposed to put that mask on yourself first.
mm,
And
yeah,
often in life, we do not. We
Yeah.
give, we give until there's nothing left to give, and
Yeah.
then we break. And so this workshop is going to be a 2-hour workshop. We're going to be diving into the belief systems around self-care and selfishness, and we're going to really break it apart. It's for men and for women because, you know, I work with both men and women as
Yeah.
clients. And we all have a different reaction to this whole self-care thing. And so I'm going to just basically be guiding you through this process. And so I'm really excited to be able to
Love
have
it.
this. It's actually a really low price point. You would be really surprised. It's $44 plus the fees. So I think it comes to $46 with it.
Okay.
But it's going to be a 2-hour workshop, and it's the opportunity to really just start thinking about yourself. It's the first 2 hours of thinking about giving yourself grace, giving yourself that self-love and self-care.
Awesome. So we'll put the link in the description so you can click on it and go and register for that for June 28th. If you like this video, please make sure that you like it and subscribe to the channel so you can be notified when the next episode is released. If you are thinking about relocation and you have doubts and you are just like, what am I thinking, Natalie? Let's book a call together. Click on the Calendly link in the description so you can make sure we can have that 30-minute call. Doesn't cost you anything. There's no strings attached, and we can figure out where you are in the process and where you'd like to be and make that happen. Crystal, thanks so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure everybody who's listened has appreciated what you've shared because, yeah, mindset is not something that we used to talk about back in the day.
Yep.
And more, it's just become more important. So whatever you choose to do today, have an incredible day, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Thank you.